Hello and welcome. We are recording. It is October 7th. Welcome to the Topherspin Meteorites Meteorite Crew Hangout. Got some interesting, cool stuff today as far as things that I've never done before. I want to play a game because somewhere there is a boy in the UK who is 7 years old. Am I talking about you? He was born April 12th, 2013. Am I talking about you? Is your name Leon? Leon Cunningham. I'm talking to you, my man. I heard that you have special powers and your dad and you spend time together watching our YouTube videos, and they kind of help bring you out of your shell and allow you to communicate a little better with everyone else. And he really mentioned how, he mentioned how much you guys really enjoy watching the Hangouts together. I know that you have a tiny little piece of Lunar stuck on your roof right above your bed with glow-in-the-dark stickers around it. I know you have some unclassified meteorites that you also like to play with as well above your head. In addition to your dad, Karen, taking you out in the yard and hunting for meteorites. So, Leon, I just want to let you know, this hangout is dedicated to you, and we're so glad to have you as a friend of ours. Thanks, Leon. He is in a town in the UK called Inverkeithing. So thanks for joining us. I wanted to make a little special call out for our friend. Now, I do want to share something unique with you guys because I've had a gentleman, a friend, Marco, I believe. He is in Germany. He wants to join us weekly, but it's really bad timing for him. So when he saw today's side topic of, it's always meteorites and anything meteorite related, but he saw the side topic of collecting space memorabilia. And he said, you know, Topher, I want to be a part. I want to send you a video. I think you'll like it. I hope you understand my English. Let me tell you, his English is perfect. This video is amazing, and I'm so glad that we were able to have him, let me see here, join us remotely, even though he's asleep right now. All right, so you should.
Hello everybody, hello Topher. My name is Marco Gaisser. I'm a meteorite collector from Germany, and unfortunately I'm not able to participate on your meteorite meeting today because at your time here in Germany it's very late. I have to go to work tomorrow, so yeah, it's not possible for me to participate live. But I think I have a very interesting piece here that fits very good to today's topic. It's a little piece of a sikhote-alin meteorite. Nothing really special, but what it makes it special is the history behind the piece. In 2018, a meteorite collector friend called me and told me that the German Air and Space Agency, so the DLR, are planning an interesting project. And the project was to create a time capsule where they would put in a Blu-ray disc where all children all over Germany, I think all over Germany, maybe other countries too, could send their wishes or imaginations about the future, how the future will be, what technologies would be, and yeah, as I said, all the wishes that they have for the future. So additional to that Blu-ray disc, the DLR wanted to put into that time capsule, which was an aluminium sphere, wanted to put in some special things. And one of those special things is that piece of sikhote-alin meteorite. Not only the sikhote-alin meteorite, but also some lunar meteorites, Martian meteorites. But yeah, my friend asked me if I have a piece of sikhote-alin with about 20 grams or so, and yeah, I had one. And that's the story how I was able to, yeah, give them a piece of my collection. And now comes the really special topic of that whole story, because that project, or the idea of the project was to bring that aluminium sphere with all those pieces, Blu-rays and so on to the ISS. So they wanted to shoot the meteorites back to space, and that's exactly what they did. So on the 2nd April of 2018, a Falcon X rocket from SpaceX, a Falcon 9 rocket from SpaceX, with the CRS-14 mission, brought that sphere with that piece of sikhote-alin from my collection to the ISS. And yeah, then some weeks later, our German astronaut Alexander Gerst flew to the ISS with the Horizon mission, and then he gave an interview from the ISS with that sphere in his hands and flying around in space. And yeah, they talked about all those wishes for the future, all those imaginations, and yeah, the piece in that sphere flew about, I think, a quarter of a year, so 3 months around Earth. Then they brought it back to Earth, and now it rests for 50 years in a museum here in Germany. And after 50 years, they will open that sphere. We'll have a look on those pieces that are inside. I hope it doesn't rust, my small sikhote-alin. And yeah, then they will look, or will have a look on those pieces and the Blu-ray disc. And yeah, maybe some wishes and some imaginations came true. And I think that's the really nice story. Maybe a little weird story, because sending a meteorite back to space and bring it back to Earth, okay, why not? But the piece, they cut it into 3 parts. So 2 end pieces or end cuts, and in the middle a slice. 2 end cuts because they had the capsule that, or yeah, the capsule that flew to the ISS, and a backup capsule. And the slice in the middle is still part of my collection, as you can see here. So yeah, one of those end cuts traveled to space. The other one is in the backup capsule, and the middle of the piece still here in my collection. I hope you enjoyed that little story. I think it's, yeah, funny. It was an honor to participate on such a project, and yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. So goodbye, folks. Have a great meeting. I will watch everything, of course, tomorrow on YouTube. And thanks, Topher, for that great platform that you created. I really enjoyed it. It's yeah, Really, really great. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
I want to play his intro one more time out of respect for him because we missed it real quick.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Topher. My name is Marco Gaisser. I'm a meteorite collector from Germany, and unfortunately, I'm not able to participate on your meteorite.
Awesome. So I thought you guys might get a kick out of seeing one of our friends in Germany who would love to join us, but is unable to. So here are his pictures. They're not going to be in any order. Can you see that or not? Okay. So this is the items that were, I guess, some of the representative items that were stored in there. There's a picture taken outside of the actual capture of the Dragon craft. A lot clearer picture. The actual time capsule with his sikhote-alin being blasted off into space.
We're just seeing the menu still.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
seeing the file.
You know what? I told you this new way of me not being able to see what I'm recording is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So let's just do this. Nope, that didn't help. Share. Wow. Okay, well, let's do this. You guys are seeing this screen? Okay, so I was really hoping that I could, this is his sikhote-alin right here. That was cut into 3 pieces, a top and middle and a slice in the middle. This is his collection right here. I really wish I could zoom in, but it's not allowing me to. What's really cool about it, and you can barely see it right here, but there's the sphere floating in space in front of Alexander Gerst on the ISS. And here is the sphere in front of the ISS window.
Excellent.
So now let me see, let me try something real quick. See if I can share a document with you guys. And then I'll turn it over to you for anything there. Can you guys see the document?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, awesome. I'm going to show you guys, now that I got the screen sharing going, I'm going to do my stuff and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys. This is my collection of space flown material. So I have a Soyuz, it's a parachute, part of the parachute that was actually out in space, 194 days, over 3,000 orbits of Earth. And it lists the crew. I also have a part of the insulation blanket that flew on, and you can see, you know, $8.50. It ain't that expensive, but it's a insulating blanket flown on the space shuttle, and this was on Endeavour. So this is kind of what the item would look like before it's all taken apart. And there in the, at 5 o'clock in the picture, you can see a Sprite can. That'll give you some kind of frame of reference of how big that thing is. This is super cool. This is a piece of metal, a bracket of some sort. It is absolutely light as a feather and very, very rigid and not magnetic. And it flew out in space. Also, this one's special for me because this was done during the Hubble repair flight when they did really super long EVAs. And I remember watching the EVAs live on TV after crashing from skiing on the mountains in Durango, Colorado with my sister all day. We'd go back to the room and watch the Hubble repair all night and then try to hit the slopes first thing in the morning again. So it's cool to actually have some of the payload bay liner from that flight. And then a very expensive little $33 nut of some sort. It is metal like I've never seen. It is precision manufacturing like I've never seen. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. But it's a removed screw from the orbiter. Yeah. So here is the only nose gear that was used on 2 different shuttles. It flew on Atlantis and Columbia, back-to-back missions, 27, 28. Now, these are not the tires, these are just representative tires. And then this is a piece of the payload bay liner from a different mission. This is Columbia, and here's an example of what a payload liner, bay liner would look like. They weave and sew them into the light fabric into whatever shapes they need, and then they Velcro it on the wall. So if you have a camera that fits in there perfectly, your camera is now strapped to the wall perfectly. Here is a thermal control system blanket. It went 4.2 million miles, and there's what it looked like before it was taken apart. So that's just a little bit of my collection. I'll stop sharing screen. If I take this off, hopefully you guys can see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here is what the display looks like. And my coins just slid down.
Wow.
But that's what I'm working with right there for my space flown collection. And that's really all the space memorabilia that I have. A few coins and stuff, but besides that, I don't have much. So thank you guys for being very patient and listening so much to me right along, but I definitely wanted to take care of those things before we got deluged with cool stuff. Who wants to show something off?
See how you raise how does one raise their hand again?
You just did it by talking.
Oh, hey, hi guys. I just joined just now.
Oh, good. You missed all the technical difficulties then.
Oh, yeah. We were coming in from Los Olivos, which is a little wine town about 150 miles from here. Just got in about half an hour ago. I had some dinner and I'm pooped. Long drive.
Show you some of the stuff I have. This is not space fun. It's some coins and medals. This is, let's see if it'll focus there. This is a coin from Curiosity Mars rover. It has some information on the back. Curiosity Mars rover will spend 2 years on Mars collecting samples, and it goes on. This is from like 2012.
Is that made with flown material?
Actually, this one might have been. Let me see. I know some of these are.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like this one was.
Oh, okay.
That was a Mars mission. This one, some of you guys might have this one. It's a pretty common one. It's the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11.
Oh, that's nice. Color
Yeah.
one.
There we go.
That's slick.
I bought these off eBay in like random assortments of space medals and coins. Oh, it's not focusing. Can't really do much. But this is an Apollo 11 coin. So is this one? This one's like a more modern one. It's got the 3 astronauts from Apollo 11. You guys know there was 3 astronauts that went. One stayed on the 2 went to the surface and 1 stayed in the orbiter.
That looks like it was silver. Is that a silver coin?
Yeah, that one is silver. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's sterling silver. I'll show you my flown stuff. Let's see.
Oh,
This
that's
is a little
neat.
label for a food kit flown on the International Space Station. That's a certificate of authenticity for that.
That's cool.
That one's flown. I used to have a high altitude spacesuit, Russian,
Wow.
but I sold that one. This one is pineapple. This one it wasn't flown, but it was like it's exactly the same as the ones that were flown.
That's super cool.
I've been tempted to open it, you know. There's a guy that has this channel on YouTube that he opens like meals from the 50s and 40s from World War One.
I've seen that guy.
Civil
Yeah.
defense meals, yeah.
I've watched that guy's videos. They're really cool.
That's all I have really for as far as I know. I used to have a lot of other stuff. Like I had an Apollo 11, like our original food pack. It was empty though, and sold it. I also had an Apollo 14. There was this piece of small rope that they took to the moon. It was called the Apollo 14 safety line, is the way that it's known. And they made commemorative cards for NASA employees. NASA did. And I think they made a few hundred. But that was actually flown to the surface of the moon in Apollo 14. And their NASA provenance is from NASA directly. And they go for about $1,200 now. But there's none on eBay at the moment.
That stuff
I
is
used to have
very
one.
expensive. Very expensive.
Yeah, that's probably the cheapest like lunar surface flown item that you can get that I've seen for sale, at least.
I have metal shavings from the lunar lander for $10. But you're gonna have to use a microscope. Hey, I see Ron has his hand up, so let's spotlight him.
Okay. Well, along the same line, my sister was actually down in Florida at the Space Center about a year or so ago, and she picked me up a couple of these medallions too. Now these, according to these medallions, they actually have metal that was flown in space. So I just now found that out. But here's one on the original card. You can see that. That's the Apollo 17 commemorative. You guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other side has some graphics on it, but then also she got me another one. Oh, this is for my birthday last year, so that's a birthday present. So this one, it says, this medallion contains metals flown on Aries 1 through 10 and Orion PA1. So that's this one. And the reverse is this. But the one, my favorite, is she gave me a NASA coffee mug.
Oh, nice.
And I use this every day.
That's
This is my
beautiful.
regular coffee mug.
Art in use. I like that.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Functional
So
gifts.
it's very useful. Nice size, but I thought that was kind of an alien green color. So that's really all the space stuff I have. I did price some of the stuff out. There is a website that sells actual flown hardware, but I think they start at $4,000 for a little tiny bolt or something. And it's basically scraps of metal here and there, but they're pretty big. But can't believe the prices on this stuff. It's crazy.
Right now, I'm looking at a piece. Grant, I see you're raising your hand. I'll come to you in 1 second. I saw and I still see it now. After I announce it live on, everyone's going to go buy it. But I don't know what it is. But it looks like it has one purpose, and it's. From what I understand from the schematics, it is the last thing in line on the orbiter to fire the separation of the solid rocket boosters. So it's this solenoid valve looking thing with two big leads coming off, and they're all wrapped in this fiberglass wire housing, and it's like $250. And I've been hovering over the buy now button for like a week. So I don't know if I'm going to get it if someone else is going to buy it out from under me. But yeah, a shuttle flown little piece. Let me see here. So there we go. We got Grant in the house.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm actually coming to you from a hotel. I'm out on assignment right now, but with me I bring a portable studio. So for just this occasion. So that being said, I am on the road. I don't have anything with me, but I do have knowledge of some pretty cool stuff. So as you all know, work with outreach and with a local school district very closely. And because of that, those of you who might be familiar with GSA, so GSA, I forget what it's Governmental Service Agency or something.
Governmental Services Administration.
Okay, Governmental Services Administration. So they manage the liquidation of a lot of government-owned material. And one of those things, obviously, being NASA. So with our outreach with the Wilton Community School District, we actually started an account there and got it authorized. And there's a whole bunch of, beyond the dual factor authentication, there's a whole host of other things you have to do, names and EINs and so forth. But once you have a validated account, you can actually go and get space flown material and really, really cool stuff for absolutely free. So one of the cool things we got was actually shuttle, space flown shuttle insulation tiles. So complete tiles. And they come in a special protective wrapping because I guess the material itself is friable.
Really?
And it's to reduce the airborne, the airborne nature of it. Obviously, we're all quite familiar with asbestos, and they don't want to take chances with other friable, potentially airborne insulation material. But so for those of you who might be interested in working with the school district, that's an absolute option. So as just an average citizen, I went and filed it's basically kind of a petition, essentially, saying I work with the school district. Here are all the individuals that, all your contact information. And from there, basically all you have to do is agree. I know we have a lot of buyers and sellers in this group. One thing you do have to agree to is that it will never be sold. But once you make those agreements, you can actually get some really cool stuff. One thing that we are still in line for, we are slated to receive, and it's perfect for Meteorite Hangout. And but when they come in, I'll have to share them. They're actually meteorite test plates. So micrometeorite strike plates that they utilize in test sequences to help develop the technology necessary to protect humans in space. So when we get those test parts, that'd be really cool.
That is wild. I would love to have some any shuttle stuff. I mean, yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, they absolutely provided it directly to the school district. In fact, it was hilarious because I forgot to notify them, and I actually got an email, and they said, "We got this package in today, and there are these." I don't know what they are. They're like blocks of something. And
oh my God.
We were wondering if this was yours. I'm like, oh, those are space shuttle insulation tiles. Yes, please be very careful with those. Yeah. Those go directly to the high schools because we have a collection at the high school. Those go directly to the collection at the high school, and he'll know what to do with it. So I have a science teacher there that I work with. I said, he'll know what to do with it. I'm sorry, I forgot to let you know.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That is super cool. I actually got to hold some in Tucson this year, and it's just amazing stuff. I should have pulled a trigger on it when I was there. I didn't. Does anyone want to show some stuff off?
I got a few things.
Nice.
Hopefully I can share my screen because I want to show you what set me off on an adventure. Let's see. Okay. All right, you guys seeing the photo?
Yes, we are. Man on the moon.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a photo of Alan Bean, Apollo 12, taken by Pete Conrad. And as you can tell, he didn't just sign it. He explained what this photo was. And in all these years, I never knew what it was. I thought, yeah, they're collecting a sample, right? You know, he's holding the sample thing in his hand. But he goes on to explain in detail that the scientists were concerned that from Apollo 11, that there was a chance that there was some kind of contamination from Earth or the atmosphere in the command service modules and lunar module. So they had come up with this sample container, this pristine sample container. So it had just been filled up by Pete Conrad. He was about to close it up. So basically, this is a sample that there has been absolutely no human contact with. And, you know, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's like really cool to have this kind of explanation. You know, it's like, it would be cool to have the photo with him sign it, to have all this. I picked this up at auction. It's not like I didn't get this in person. But that gave me the idea. And how do I stop sharing? Oh, there it is. Okay. So that gave me the idea. I went to Space Fest last year. And so when I went to go and ask for autographs, I asked them, you know, what was on your mind at this moment? So this was Al Warden when he did his EVA. And I don't know how well you can see that. It says, great view of the Earth and the Moon during my EVA.
Oh, man.
So, but wait, there's more.
Nice.
I met Vance Brand, and he was on Skylab, and he had his EVA, and see, it's a little hard to read, but it's like, no, I'm not coming in. I'm having too much fun. And there's one from Jack Lasma, the whole Earth in one vision on his spacewalk from Skylab.
Dude, these are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we always see these things, and, you know, I always wonder, it's like, I'm also an artist, and it's like, you know, what were people thinking when they're doing these things? And we never hear these kind of stories until, you know, maybe later on and maybe not at all. It's like something that, you know, they may tell somebody, but it's not, you know, down or anything. So
What's cool about that too is I know that they have to feel differently, because there's, like you said, there's a lot of you know, people out there. Well, Grant said there's a lot of people out there selling stuff, and then there's Autograph House. Can you sign 5 things for me, please? But to actually have a passionate collector come up and, you know, appreciate the guy risked his life for science. Like, what an amazing experience. You know, I want to capture this moment with you. Tell me something that you were thinking. Like, that's brilliant. I think that's really intelligent that you did that, man.
yeah, I don't know, you know, I wish I knew who originally got the Alan Bean one. That's like, you know, that got me interested in doing this. Oh yeah, actually it was Ed Gibson, the one, the with the blue sky and the Skylab one. Not the middle one. So.
I see
Anyhow.
Pat digging around. Did you have something to show off?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. Let me get back to full screen here. So, probably the most interesting bit, and I have shown this one before.
Yeah.
But this is a piece of Apollo heat shield, and there's one website which I didn't find immediately on looking, but that goes through and describes all of the development of the heat shield as they did the Saturn V launches that actually went to the moon. And from that website, looking at the construction, you can see on the bottom part there, there's a hexagonal sort of cells that are filled with this phenolic material, and the cells are fiberglass, and they glue on the fiberglass lattice, and then they injected the ablative material into each hole. And I have
That's pretty cool. I've seen those heat shield plugs for sale from the Russian spacecraft and other Apollo spacecraft, but I've never seen one that like complete. I don't think.
Yeah. So if I share my screen here, there's a chunk of material from 8. The, Apollo 8, of course, was very significant in that it was the first one that actually went to the moon. All the missions up to 7 were Earth orbital missions, and for 8 they didn't have the lunar excursion module ready, so there was no chance of landing. But our intelligence service stuff picked up information that the Russians were launching something, and we didn't want to be caught out not being the first one to put people around the moon. So they changed the definition of 8, and they went around the moon. And so it was the first one that actually re-entered as very, very high speed re-entry. Let's see, my screen is still sharing?
Correct.
Okay, so here's a capsule, and you can see that it doesn't come in.
We're not seeing that new picture though.
Yeah. Oh, not seeing the picture?
Nope,
Okay.
not that one.
Okay. Okay, screen sharing is paused. How do I unpause? New share. Here. Okay, now you should be able to see.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the capsule doesn't come in symmetrically, it comes in asymmetrically, and that's very much on purpose. They offset the center of lift and the center of gravity of the capsule, so that just by rolling to the left, you go to the left, and rolling to the right, you go to the right. And so for the missions where we actually went to the moon and came back, now I don't know if all of them were the same, but 8 came in and dipped into the atmosphere for a while, did a bunch of slowing down, and then hopped back up out of the atmosphere to cool off a little bit, and then came back down again and through and entered. And let's see. Now there's one more photo of a piece of this material from Apollo 8 that was encapsulated in lucite.
I wonder how far Apollo 8 came down from the projected area. If they use the atmosphere as an air brake and then bounced off and came back in,
Yeah, their ability to hit a target is really quite good. There was one of the Mercury missions that I think it was Gordo Cooper. No, it wasn't either. It was one of the other guys. Anyhow, there was one of those missions where one of the astronauts consumed all of the discretionary fuel and then some, and his reentry didn't hit the target very well. But the rest of them actually did quite a good job. If you listen to the ground and their ability to calculate these orbital elements allows them to do that work with significant accuracy.
Wow.
So here's another book. This is it's a very glued binding cheapo sort of book, but this was the results of the first orbital mission. So this is Glenn's orbital mission, and it actually had a failure. One of the sensors on the heat shield showed that it was loose from the fuselage of the capsule, and so they had him re-enter with this booster pack attached to the capsule. So there was quite a bit more plasma fire show going on outside of the window.
Yeah, because I wonder how much of that was left.
Pretty much none.
Yeah.
It burned for a while, and these straps burned away. But their logic was they would use the straps to hold the heat shield in place, and then after he was actually going through, reentry, just the force of the air resistance would hold the shield in place. Turned out it was just a faulty sensor, but it was, the pucker factor was fairly high.
No doubt.
But this quick and dirty book was, they did one of these for each of the Mercury missions, and this had all the gory information in it, including every word that was said second by second. And because they didn't really produce very many copies of these, they've been selling on eBay for a couple $100. And then of all of the, of course, NASA published a number of books, but this one is SP-350, so Special Publication 350. That is a really nice coffee table book of all the Apollo missions and the planning and so forth. And at Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, which was an unknown university law school until their basketball team got really good. But Lovell came and talked there in the mid-90s, and it was free to go to the talk, and it was very poorly advertised. So there were only, 40 people there. So I got to sit in the second row and got to ask him a question, and I had him sign my book. And this is the plasma from him and the other two fellows re-entering on Apollo 8.
Wow.
That's cool.
So that kind of all ties together. And then just some miscellaneous stuff. This is a Alan Shepard signed first day cover that I bought at Kennedy Space Center, complete with their price tag on it. This one's Gene Cernan. He was actually the last man to walk on the moon.
Yep.
Cernan and Schmidt, thank you, the geologist, were the last two on the moon, but Cernan, the commander, wanted to be the last guy who walked on the moon, so Schmidt went up the ladder before he did. And
yeah, his final checklist is going up for sale.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah, and it's got the words that he said, the last words on the moon.
Cool. Yeah, he said something about when we come back next time, and yeah, it's going to be a while yet. And then this is one of Dr. Schmidt as well, also from NASA, from Kennedy Space Center, and they all carry nice certificates of authenticity. And then I think I showed you guys my book that I had personally signed by Dr. Schmidt. So that's all I've got that's space related. At some point, Topher, when you're ready, we'll come back and do the how many grams is the meteorite.
Right
Back
on.
to you.
Good deal. Thanks. All right. Does anyone have something they'd like to show? Oh, I see Raymond Borges.
Yeah, I forgot, Pat, when you mentioned all these books, I forgot I got some stuff. So this document, let's see if you can read it. It's a U.S. manned space flight program, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. And this has all of these details when they were still brainstorming it. And one thing interesting, it has the estimate prices of the different programs.
What?
Yep.
Probably some overruns.
What does that first one say? It's total 23,915,900,000. That was their estimate.
Yeah, it was
all of the programs put together, Gemini, Mercury, and Apollo.
Yeah, it was a gigantic amount of money they spent.
And I also forgot, I have the newspaper, the New York Times.
Cool.
Oh,
Cool.
there you go.
Nice.
And so that's I've got it in this gigantic.
Yeah, that's a nice holder, man. Holder
Yeah, be
display.
careful. Be careful holding it. Changing pages like that.
I gotta show you one thing here. Let's see. So this is the entire schedule. This is a separate document from the newspaper. That is a schedule of maneuvers that they had to make on the Apollo mission, Apollo 11 specifically. And you can see this one. I'll take it out real quick.
Cool.
Man.
Well, it's interesting, like people think we just flew a rocket straight to the moon, but the complexity involved, we actually orbited Earth,
Gravity.
left that orbit, went into orbit around the moon, dropped the lander, did the walking around, picked up the samples, got back on, then picked up the lander, reconnected with the orbiter, and then orbited back to, out of the lunar orbit back to Earth and descended.
Yep.
That is
And
fantastic.
us old guys followed all that stuff on the TV and on the radio. When,
Familiar?
they did a few orbits, and then they were ready for translunar injection. And
And then this has some of the events. Let's see.
Exactly.
And
Those,
those
like,
are all original documents?
These are original NASA documents. I bought these like 10 years ago on eBay.
That's phenomenal, man.
You know, it's hard to find these kind of things now. You see a lot of stuff pop up from the Shuttle program and from the ISS now. The Apollo stuff is kind of rare now.
Yeah,
shuttle
people don't want to
stuff
get rid of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. The shuttle stuff and ISS stuff is where I'm at, because that's what I grew up watching and living through. You know, I was born in '71, so I was a little too late for the moon landing.
How do you screen share? I know I sound old asking that question, but how do you screen share?
Yeah, on the bottom of your screen, you should be able to. In the very middle has an up arrow.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yep. Let's go to Arthur, who has his hand up, and then Grant, if you have something, we'll definitely come back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to share a memory. I'm sorry I can't show you actual physical photographs or anything relating to it, but when I was stationed at NAS Glencoe in Brunswick, Georgia, I was responsible for pre-flighting 5 T-39 North American Sabreliners before their first flight of the day. As I was under one of the aircraft taking a fuel sample, checking for water in the fuel, I happened to capture a glimpse of a fire in the sky. I thought it was a commercial aircraft that had disintegrated, but it was actually the return of the Apollo that set the first astronaut, first man on the moon, returning to Earth. It was quite a sight to see.
Wow.
Cool.
Something I'll never forget, and I felt very privileged to see. Most people have witnessed launches, but reentry is something else.
Wow, that's awesome. We see a lot of videos of meteor events, and we also see a lot of slow-moving meteor events that turn out to be space debris returning to Earth. But I don't think I've really ever seen captured on video purposefully and timed a return or a re-entry. Now, there was that booster that fell in China 2 weeks ago, but you guys know about that. They launched from China more inland than usual, and they needed a higher trajectory for their orbital plane. So they ended up having to drop the booster when they ejected it over land, and they told the cities around there, be aware it's going to happen. So people were outside and they actually filmed it, but it had so much fuel in it when it actually hit the ground, it exploded. It still had the hypergolic.
Yeah, that's the nasty part of those, is the hypergolic fuels and oxidizer pair. But I've seen that Chinese crash, and if you look at it, the smoke that's a really, really dark orange color that's the hypergolics. It's some sort of non-asymmetrical super hydrazine compound that is very, very toxic. And you remember when the shuttle came and land, they had to do a whole bunch of stuff to safe the shuttle before the ground technicians could go up to it, and that was largely about bleeding off the leftover hypergolics that they used in a lot of the reaction control jets. Yeah.
Does anyone have like space junk? I know there's like a tank. Rob Elliott, a meteorite collector from back in the day, he had a few things that had fallen back from
Mike Farmer has found several items.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Marcin Simla, Poland Met, has a titanium tank about a little more than a foot in diameter that we saw at Tucson one year.
Wow, nice.
I think I might have actually found a way to do something here. I wanted to show this off earlier. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is Marco's time capsule stuff. So just some ideas. You guys didn't see these or did you?
No, that's cool.
Not the detail. I saw the sphere, but I couldn't figure out what was on the bottom.
So I finally figured out. So yeah, you have to share the application, the photo application, not the screen. So there's the capturing of the Dragon capsule, and then the docking of it. The blast off of the actual rocket taking his time capsule up into space with a end cut of sikhote-alin. His sikhote-alin that has traveled from space to space and back to Earth eventually. It's going to be held for 50 years before they open it again. There's Alexander Gerst, I believe was the astronaut's name, with the sphere in the middle of the screen, thus proving that space is real. And that's a really cool shot with the camera lens reflected in the sphere, giving a 360 of all the windows on the ISS. I really wanted to show that picture off. I thought that was one of the coolest pictures I've seen in a while. And of course, you had the astronaut giving the peace sign in the back. That's, usually the guy giving the peace sign is the highlight of the picture. This time you actually have to look 10 minutes to see it. And there's Marco with his collection, with his patches, and you can see pictures at like 7 o'clock with the actual piece that was flown in space. Just a really, really cool exhibit and a cool way to share it with us long distance. So I'm really glad that Marco was able to do that for our international friends. Does anyone have something they want to show or tell? Oh, let me show you this. This is my international. It's not going to zoom in, but this was made with metal flown on the International Space Station, this coin. And it's in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of it. So actual space flown metal. And then another one, I'm going to have to go ahead and.
Wow, that one is awesome.
Yeah, okay. So can you guys see that one? Yeah, there we go. So there is Apollo 11, and this was made with metal flown on the Apollo missions. Not specifically any mission called out. I really wish I knew what missions they were, but this is a cool. Now these are called challenge medallions rather than coins when they're like this, but. This is Apollo 40-year, and I love the way they did the 40-year with the Earth rising above the moon like that, making the 0. So these are my 2 coins in my collection that have space-flown metals in them that I think are pretty interesting. Let me stop that now. All right. who would like to show something off? We can go to meteorites too, if that's your fancy.
I've got a neat signature. So I was recently hanging out with one of our friends with the organization, Paul Sapira with the Planetary Studies Foundation. And part of the fundraising stuff, obviously, you all are familiar with me, so we share.
Would you call out your organization one more time, please?
So our organization is the Organization for the Proliferation of Space Studies, and that's www.expandspacestudies.org. And we work with the Planetary Studies Foundation, which is planets.org. And I was over at Paul's house, and he's like, hey, I have some meteorites of his that I'm representing. And he's like, hey, I have another piece. So he shows me this piece. And he's like, here, see, put this up for sale. So now this is at this is not a sale piece. So I'm not, this is not a sales spiel. But so I obviously have to photograph it. And it's so cool. So I'm going to go in and share this piece. Can you see, is that working?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so the Planetary Studies Foundation and Paul, they've done 6 Antarctic expeditions, and one of the expeditions, obviously here in 2000, was with Owen Garriott and James Lovell. So Paul led the expedition for Garriott and Lovell, and this is one of the 200 patches that was carried to the South Pole. So they actually have pictures of them with this at the South Pole. And it was super cool, but it was so funny because he just like goes in one of his rooms, pulls this thing out, and like, tosses it on the couch. Here, look at this. And it was just so nonchalant. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is, hold on.
You know what you have? Yeah.
Right, like this is Garriott and Lovell, and he's like, yeah, I went to the the South Pole with them, and they were interested in going, and so he gives me the backstory on it, and it was totally cool. And he also had pictures, I believe they were in, it was somewhere right at the tip of South America, and they were doing like shots of grappa at a bar. And I'm like, dude, this is nuts. So this is one of the cool, it's really neat because it's meteoritics. Obviously they went there. They did find meteorites. That was part of the expedition. And so they actually found meteorites, but then you wrap it into Garriott and Lovell and the analogs between space and Earth. So this desolate, cold, unforgiving land that can easily claim your life. It's a really beautiful analog for space travel. And to have those people who'd actually been there. So now on this Earth-based analog of deadliness. And so it was just a really cool, cool piece of memorabilia. So yeah, this is sitting in my office currently. It's awesome. I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you figured out a price for that one yet, Grant?
Yeah, sure. That's it's there. The price is there. The price is there. So
if you know off the top of your head, feel free to, Grant, go right ahead if you know it.
I believe it was $475.
Okay.
So,
I appreciate your respect, but I want to help you out as well.
All right. I don't want to.
No, the hangouts aren't a sales pitch. I don't want them. I don't want them to turn into a sales pitch because trust me, I have a lot of meteorites I'd love to sell. But the idea is to get education and people involved. So no, and I hope many people go out to your webpage. I'll put a link in the description down below as well. So we had a call out to our buddy Leon Cunningham out in the UK. We also had a visit from Marco in Germany. You know I'm talking to you, Juan.
Hey, hello.
We're coming to Juan next.
Hello, how are you?
Juan Avilas from Jurassic Dreams Fossils in the house. How are you, sir?
It's so late right here, Topher, but unfortunately I don't have any samples directly pick up from the moon. But if you want, I'm able to show to all of you some really cool new moon stuff that I have in front of me. So if you want, later I will show you.
I saw this lunar earlier, and my eyeballs popped out of my head so hard I had to squeegee my monitor. This is the sexiest lunar that I'm going to steal from you as soon as you give me a price. Can you please show it to the group? It is amazing.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Okay, let me show you. This is a recent acquisition. It's going to be in way to classification quickly. So probably today is the most happy day in all over my fucking life.
Nice.
This one, it's a green glassy fusion crusted fragments of what seems to be an orthositic breccia.
Wow.
And
Cool.
northocytic lunar breccia with green glossy glass or green glass fusion crust.
That's a big one too.
I know.
How many grams is that?
We have right now, I'm going to show you, it's only one specimen in 4 different fragments. This is another fragment.
This one was my favorite. I know. This one was my favorite one.
Yes, if you can see, the most part of the texture is like a big anorthosite crystal. So it's not like the typical, like the other typical moon meteorites. There is one recent anorthosite ferroswan meteorite just recently classified by Lawrence Garvey from Libya, if I remember well. And this one has really similar fashion, glassy fashion crust. Just this morning, I make like a cut to see its interior.
That's cool.
Is
It's
that
in total,
beautiful?
In total, it's 100, like 100 grams.
Jeez.
It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
Is he selling that already?
What?
Are you selling it already?
No. Usually it's a recent acquisition, so I'm going to send to classify as soon as possible. So we will wait for the classification, of course.
Look at the crust on that one.
Yeah, I've only seen fusion crust on one other lunar, and that was Dustin Dickens at Tucson. The last Tucson, which I guess was like a year ago now, over a year.
So
there was one recent classification that Dr. Garvey did that had Tony Irving did, that was this an orthositic, and it had the greenest, smoothest fusion crust I've ever seen.
The rock is really white inside.
I know.
It's like astonishingly white.
Yeah, they're very fresh.
I've never had that in my life, ever.
You know, there's no lunar falls yet in Met Bowl. It's interesting.
glad to show to all of you this matter. I'm so excited today. So excited.
Wow. That is super fantastic stuff, man. Wow. Now, I am not going to say too much. Hold on, I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to cross the line, but I do have an update because I want the Hangouts and I want Topherspin to be associated with new news. So Juan, I'm respecting you. I am, okay? But I want to share some information with the group. Juan, I'm respecting you. This stuff that everyone's been madly chasing in Morocco, the witnessed carbonaceous fall, will be on the Met Bowl momentarily.
Nice.
I can't tell you the name, although it sounds like something Doctor Who would like. Okay. and it's rare, folks. Rare.
Is it NWA 12-5?
It's not. Ain't no NWA stuff. This is so special. It has a name. There's only been one one meteorite
Mhm.
of this class ever found, and you will never own it because it was in Antarctica. So if you want this classification, Lon is your man. I was respectful. I didn't say anything I did. I followed the rules, didn't I?
What you got, Topher? How much you're gonna have to offer? How many grams?
Yeah, it's basically your residence and car for 5 grams. No. No. But it's really interesting, and it's neat because I want to be able to share information and newsworthy stuff. But it actually, the witnessed carbonaceous fall has a name. It will be on the Met Bowl. It's not a number, and it's rare stuff. It's only been found once on Earth and only in Antarctica. So no collectors have it. Mike Kelly, the micro man, you don't even have a micro of it.
Is it ungrouped or is it grouped?
I will not answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm unable to recall the answer at this time. My lawyer has told me to take the
Hold
5th
on.
and the 6th.
Are we talking about the carbonaceous fall that had everybody out in the desert chasing?
Eritrea City? Yeah.
Yes.
It fell on August 25th at 3:20 in the afternoon.
Crusted, 3 gram crusted. I just procured for a customer on the East Coast directly from the field. It was ridiculously beautiful. My wife sent me pictures today, and it's funny because she has no idea what these are. So she sends me the picture and she goes, "This came for you in the mail," and it's just it's this case, it's the specimen in it, and I'm looking at it going, "Oh no, hey sweetie, listen. So I need you to be very careful with this.
Yeah.
This has to get packaged in a very particular manner." She's like, "Oh, so it's important?" Yes, it's very important.
Don't shake it. Don't lick it.
Wait, don't open it up. It's, this is for a customer. So
yeah, a bird could come by and shit. Like, no, just put it.
Right.
Yeah.
Topher, as a rare micro guy, I've been talking to Juan already.
Yeah.
Yes, have I. Yes.
Yeah.
That's Mike Kelly. Hi, Mike.
Yeah, that's Mike Kelly. Yeah. One of the great things that Juan was able to share with us a few weeks ago, when he actually had the material in his hands there in his secret laboratory, was the fact that there's very few big pieces. It's all small fragments, and because of the type of material it is, it became thousands of oriented pieces. So it doesn't surprise me, Grant, that you have a 3 gram piece and it's totally oriented and beautiful, because besides the broken fragments, a lot of the pieces are beautiful, oriented, just because of the soft nature of the material. They ablated to a really nice stable flight. That's my opinion only.
Let me Topher, show you something that I have right here. It's true what you say. The most part of the material is small, is principally small fragments, but let me show you. It's important to have them far away from humidity, because if not.
So do we know who submitted it?
What?
For classification?
Oh,
wow. Nice one.
Beautiful.
This is a trailing side. Some of them shows like a silver trailing sides, some really rainbow silver colors. So it's just amazing material.
And this one has noticeable metal in it too, right?
Apparently.
It has like a good quantity of metal inside. But anyway, we hope to know results soon. So we will be away from doubts quickly. So, but they have a really good quantity of metal inside. Let me show you another samples right here in my golden box.
Love it.
Let me. fucking loves. So,
Do you know who submitted the type specimen?
oh, for the moment, Topher, I can't say nothing, man.
Gotcha. I understand.
This is another.
Look at that.
This is a complete one, oriented, the leading side. Let me, I don't know. The trailing.
Wow.
But the most part of the material, it's the most part of the material. It's like you said, it's small fragments. Some of them teeny ones, oriented, but the most part is fragments and dust. Principally picked up by magnets and some of them. I must to say that right here, that in Morocco, some people is beginning to mix the dust with desert magnetic. So you must take care at time of buying this material, and you must buy the material that you see that it's bigger, because the small teeny dust can be easily mixed with magnetic.
Good to know.
So that's all that I have for today to show to all of you.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's going to be. I mean, that is. Look at how gorgeous that is. So is that the one you're sending to me, Juan?
What? Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. See, fry.
There's a couple of dots there.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, Mike, there's your micro.
There's Mike's micro.
There's your micro right there, buddy.
Yeah.
That's not the one. But one of the neat things is I do, because I am subtyping micros of the full collection. In my catalog, I have ones that are blue, which are the ones that are basically unavailable to the public, either because it's, one from Antarctica, or, there's one in existence and it's sitting in a museum. So I think this might be the first time I'm turning one of those blue numbers into a black achievable one, and then turning it into red in pocket pretty soon.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mike is the master of the minutia. He's the micro master and the Excel spreadsheet guru. So you look at his spreadsheets and you know exactly where he is on his collecting.
I'm going to admit that, as he is a tough negotiator. I will give it to you, Mike.
That's good stuff.
I appreciate that. What I do on a severe budget. So
you do it very well.
I want to play two games. We're going to play Guess the Weight of the Meteorite with Pat. But first, to get ready, Pat, the first game is, and I'm going to ask that Mike and Raymond not play at first. Does anyone?
Ooh, okay, I know which one that is.
See, that's why I want you to set up. There we go.
Very nice.
Is that the Indonesian one?
Nope. This is a witnessed Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yep.
No, you know what? It's not witnessed. It's not witnessed. I'm sorry.
Does that have flow lines?
Yep.
Wow. No idea.
All right, Mike and Raymond. What is it?
I'm gonna say it's Camelbanga.
In stereo, and you're both correct. So, Sabrina, this is yours. I'm packing it up tonight. I know that you're in the military and you're watching us tomorrow, or actually you're watching us right now, but for us, you're watching us tomorrow. And this is your Camelbanga. So just want to let you know, it's on its way to you. Pat Brown again.
Yes, so I've got a couple things to show before we guess the meteorite. Wait.
Wow, nice.
I have a patch too.
Hey.
I've never seen another one of these, but this one came up on eBay.
Oh,
and
elephant moraine.
Elephant moraine. It's Ansmet. Yeah, it says Ansmet down here. And it's a sizable.
Yeah.
It's a sizable patch. There's 1 centimeter cube.
What am I missing when you guys are talking about elephant? I see it on there, but I don't know what it is.
Elephant moraine is one of the meteorite find locations. So just like Northwest Africa, that the NOMCOM calls that a DCA, which decodes as dense collection area. And they've done the same thing for meteorites on Antarctica. And so there's Elephant Moraine is one of the locations, Allen Hills is another one, Teal Mountain is another one. And so the meteorites get these would get called Elephant Moraine, and then 2 digits for year and 3 or 4 digits for 3 digits for the internet, individual meteorite. So like
these are the meteorites buried in the ice.
Yes, well, actually, they are. Yeah, they were buried in the ice, and so this is really cool. The Antarctica is not flat; it's very, very mountainous, and there are glaciers that run down, and Antarctica is a cold desert. The amount of precipitation that it gets is all in the form of snow. But there's very, very little, but whatever meteorites fall eventually get caked into the ice, and it turns into a fruit cake with the fruit being the meteorites. Most of it just runs downhill and goes plop into the ocean, and they're lost. But in a few special places, that glacier runs downhill and then hits another mountain, and some of it goes that way and some of it goes that way, but a little bit of it goes this way and gets turned up. And the katabatic winds, associated with the different elevations that blow, nonstop for months, even in when they go out and do the ANSMET missions, they count on having a certain number of stay in the tent days when it's snowing and the wind's blowing hard, so that those katabatic winds can hit 100 miles an hour, but they're blowing along grains of ice, and that grinds away the ice. And so in these blue ice fields where you look at them, there's no snow, it's just blue ice, the meteorites just stack up. So they go around, and sometimes they'll put a little flag by them, or and also there's some great books on ANSMET. You must read this book, Meteorites, Ice, and Antarctica, by the unfortunately now late William Cassidy. He passed away this year. Fabulous book. You won't want to put it down. And there are 1 or 2 other ones as well, but I must have them someplace else in the house.
I got this one out of the library, The Rock from Mars.
Yes, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got into this.
Yeah, that is a good one as well. That one focuses on Allen Hills 84001, and so that one was found in the Allen Hills blue ice field in the 1984 collecting season, and that one actually wasn't the first meteorite found, but when they saw it in the field, they thought it was going to be cool and important, and so they called it 001, and it jumped to the head of the list. So there's that. But I've seen copies of this book for sale secondhand for only a few dollars too, like $3 or something. But really, really a good book.
When you sign on for an Antarctica expedition, it's a 6-month sign on, isn't it?
No, it's less than that. It's on the order of 5 or 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And of that, you get maybe 14 to 21 days actually in the field collecting. There's the weather is very, very fickle, and there's a lot of transportation delays getting into Antarctica and getting out, even in the the brief, well, it's their winter, but
Yeah.
summertime weather.
The calm time.
Right. But I got another toy in the mail. These are a set of calibration weights for scales.
Oh, wow. We were just talking about that last week.
Yeah, we were.
Except.
Yeah, well, it's only eight pieces, but these are of a fairly extreme accuracy. The 50-gram piece here is accurate to within plus or minus 0.12 milligrams. And the 1 gram is accurate to within plus or minus 0.017 milligrams. So they're plenty accurate enough to calibrate scales. And so it's been fun playing with those. Okay, and now let me...
Our weekly guess the weight of the meteorite.
So we'll have 2 references today. So here's the 1 centimeter cube and the 1 inch Topherspin Meteorite cube.
Thank you, sir.
And you'll notice that the surface of this one is very ruddy. It's got little pockmarks in it. And I bought this one from a photo way back in the day from a dealer in Denver. And I had a reasonable guess that it was something good. And, because of this ruddy surface being chondrule blowouts and and some chondrules that weathered a little more quickly. So it's, I don't have a big enough saw blade to cut it right now, but it's going to turn into a type 3, I think.
You think it's an L then?
I think it's a type 3 ordinary chondrite.
Okay.
And
but not an H chondrite then?
No, I don't think it's an H. Sorry, I didn't hear you said. Yeah, I believe from calibrated magnet pull that we're in the L to LL sort of range.
Okay.
And the chondrule size is pretty big. There's a lot of 4 and 5 millimeter chondrules in there, so it could well be an LL.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, that affects the weight of it.
Yes, it does.
When I'm looking at the outside, my first impression was definitely an H. It was screaming H to me, so I'm really surprised that it's an L/maybe LL.
Yeah, it's the magnet will stick and hold itself there, but it doesn't really take very much to pull it away. One other interesting clue too is on LLs, even though they're low total metal, low metallic metal, the metal tends to be in larger blebs. And so if you take a magnet and move it around on the surface, you'll find places where the magnet will stick better in some spots and not as well in others. Okay, so 1 centimeter, 1 inch. The bottom of it is pretty flat.
I'm going to have to multiply the decibel, grunt, and the ages of your life by grams. I put my guess in.
Now, if you were in attendance last week, I did give a clue.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember things well. What was the clue?
The clue was I couldn't tell you what the weight was, because my big scale downstairs that measures to 100th of a gram only goes to 4.5 kilograms.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
4.5.
Yes.
I'm light.
Well,
No, I'm gonna keep my guess the same. I'm just gonna rearrange the numbers. That's not cheating.
No?
There, same numbers, different order.
I think it's probably over 5.
See, on this surface, you can see a lot of these chondral blowouts that are little pits in the material, and with reflected cross-polarized light, this thing has desert varnish on it, but with reflected cross-polarized light, you can see through that desert varnish, and you can actually see the material in the centers of those areas. So they really are, in fact, chondrules.
Everyone get your guess in.
And you don't win the meteorite if you get the right weight right.
Oh, but you win our undying respect, and like we laud you in our sleep.
Yes, and bragging rights until next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's super cool. Nice.
That's what I got.
That's beautiful, man. I wanted to show. I want to, when the screen sharing works a little better, I have a real quick video that I want to show people that I think is super cool about magnetic response to a rock, whether it's an LL, an L, or an H. And it's a really short video, but I think it's super cool because you can really see 3 rocks side by side and a space shuttle flying in the air. And then you can feel and see the magnetic pull of the rock, whether it's an H class, L class, or LL. Mike, you're sharing something with us? What you got?
Yeah, I was circling back. I was on kid duty before. Space-related stuff. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't realize I would share and everyone would see it right off the bat.
Yeah, you know, it's polite to raise your hand.
Well, you know. So,
hey, father's excuse. Go for it, man.
When I was stationed out at Edwards Air Force Base, California, turning wrenches on missiles, was right when the space shuttle program finally finished, and they decided that they were going to send the space shuttle over to the LA Museum. So this is actually the space shuttle getting piggybacked, and you can't see them; they're a little further back, with 2 F-16 escorts landing at Edwards Air Force Base. And they were kind enough to let us all move our lunch breaks around so we could watch them come in and land. And like most military bases, yeah, that's a personal shot that I took. Yeah, landing.
That's awesome.
And of course, they were, you know, it's an area where they don't want you to take pictures usually, but they said as long as the wheels are not on the ground, you're allowed to take pictures.
That's weird. And what's cool about that during transport is they have the main engines of the space shuttle, the tri-engines covered up with the aerofoil.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, tie to the West Coast Air Force Base there, in that the dimensions of the cargo bay for the shuttle were dictated by I think it was still called the CIA at that point in time, and not the whatever it's called now. It has a fancier name, but basically the thing was designed to be just big enough to put up their big spy satellites. And so they had anticipated a whole lot more launches off the west coast of the US. And the reason for that is that all of the spy satellites go into polar orbit, so that they cover all of the then USSR, but they I don't think they ever did a single launch from Vandenberg. I think they were all.
Didn't they do one test launch? And
yeah,
I'm
they
not
might
sure.
have. Yeah,
I was watching a YouTube documentary trying to pick out one for this week, and it was talking about space debris, and that's where I brought the conversation. I saw the Chinese booster falling back to Earth, and then it got me on that little kick, and it was a cool video. Scott Manley, I think, is the one who did it. And if you guys don't watch Scott Manley on YouTube, I highly recommend. He does a lot of great videos. But he was talking about why do we launch from Florida? Why do we launch from California? And it really, just to echo what Pat the Genius was saying, is what altitude or what trajectory of orbit do you want? Do you want to go into Earth orbit, or do you want to go into a polar orbit? Are you trying to go to the moon, or are you? So yeah, all that affects your altitude, your acclination, I think is what they were calling it, of attack out of the atmosphere. You're muted, Mark.
Off. Okay. Yeah. It's inclination, and for things in a normal orbit, close to the equator, the closer that you get to the equator, the less energy it takes to get your stuff up into orbit. That's why the ESA uses French Guiana. It says my microphone changed. Well,
Yeah.
Anyhow, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of low, but we're working it.
Yeah. So when you launch from Florida, as you go kind of straight across, you get away from land very quickly, and any inhabited land very quickly. But from Florida, it's much more difficult to do a polar orbit, and the whole complex out there in Florida is largely civilian, and for the shuttle flights, there's been a lot of civilians out and about as well, and so that's why they use Vandenberg Air Force Base to launch the spice.
Another reason why they don't want the launches from Florida going polar is because they kind of have to drop everything on Cuba, and
Right.
that wouldn't make friends.
Right. Whereas from California, the coast doesn't run north-south; it runs like this, and you can get off the coast very quickly from Vandenberg. They own all the way out to the beach.
I'd like to give everyone a last call if you want to show something off, whether it's space memorabilia, meteorite related. I don't want to cut anyone off, but I want to make sure we're running about an hour and 45 minutes right now, and I want to make sure we kind of
here.
Holy crap.
What is that?
Either you've been
This
working
is
out
my
or that's
little-
past.
Superman.
I'm pretty strong.
Is that Maraska or?
This is Marasco. It used to be at one point the heaviest.
Wow. That is crazy.
It's
That's a
one
nice
of three.
Hi, Eileen.
Yeah, this one is one of three. I met the people who made it and hand painted it in Endesheim, the last Endesheim that happened. And they were like, yep, there's only three that we made, and the other two are in museums.
Wow.
That's cool.
Dude, you have a museum in your house just about, don't you?
Well, at one point, I was collecting. I have lots of casts. This is a Lunar cast. Hand painted.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And I got a little sample of, it's a Schisor, or SHISR, I don't know how you pronounce it, 162 is the actual, like, there's a slice of it. He's a Lunar from Oman. 2006.
Yeah,
It was a
Omanian meteorite that's not a Dhofar.
This one was 5 kilos
Wow.
Lunar. When they found it, it was 5,525 grams. It comes from Norbert Klassen.
God, could you imagine stumbling across that and then realizing, holy crap, that's moon?
I still don't know how people recognize lunars in the field. I imagine that must be so difficult, and I would probably throw the stone back on the ground before I would take it.
Well,
I wonder how many lunars have not been collected because of that.
yeah, well, the way that works is in Oman and in a lot of Northwest Africa hunting areas, the predominant ground material is limestone, and it is a kind of a fairly light tan sort of color. And so, you know, anything that dark is a suspect rock, and you look at it closely. I got one more, Topher. Oh, okay.
Here.
Yeah, let's do, we got Raymond, Pat, and then I saw another hand up, Mike.
This is a Lunar Dar Algani.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
400.
Really nice.
Oh, I might take
That's
them out.
DAG 400 right there?
That's DAG 400. It's a full slice.
Oh, my gosh. Dude, you know how small my piece is?
Old school Lunar.
He's pretty thin though. I think this one was
Yeah.
one of these. There's this guy on eBay who sells, he specializes in the thinnest slices imaginable. They're like hair
Yeah.
thin.
And he doesn't sell them by weight either.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, I've got an LL 3.7 from him. Yeah.
He's got some, I got some of his. They're nice surface area for a good price, but not per gram, definitely.
Yeah, no, I have a Chelyabinsk melt and a Chelyabinsk slice from him. They're only wafer thin, but they're like price per gram. It's the most expensive Chelyabinsk I've ever purchased.
Smart strategy.
Pat, you got something? And then I also know that Mike Kelly has his hand up, so we'll go to you next. Oh, Edinburgh or Edel?
I've been looking for one of those.
Oh,
Wow.
yes.
Well, I actually got one if you want to
Is
buy
that
one.
Middleborough?
That is Middlesbrough,
Middlesbrough.
1881.
Oh my God.
Magnificent.
That is damn near perfect.
Yes. Wow. I'm trying to find one of those online, so, you know, periodically.
Man.
I have the crater that goes with it.
Hold on a second. I got to spotlight that.
This is a cast of the Middlesbrough crater, or the impact pit, right? Or not crater, right? But
Are you serious?
yep.
Dude, do you live in a museum?
I've had it for years. I still got to make a box for it. I actually just bought wood the other day to make the box.
Where do you keep this stuff?
I've got it spread out all over my apartment.
That's at a warehouse somewhere. Jeez.
That's
World's
awesome.
most accommodating partner.
Yeah, exactly. Eileen's very, very patient. Mike, if you can unmute, we got you, buddy. Looks like we have unboxing video.
My version of the guessing game. As always, it's little. So it's not an overly rare type. There's over 500 of them, Eurolites, but this is an American Eurolite. Didn't realize I had it on the bag. American Eurolites. Anybody got a guess?
I don't know any American Eurolites. I don't know any Eurolites by name except Amahata.
Oh, good one.
From Texas?
New Mexico.
Oh. New Mexico Eurolite. Oh, El Pasamon? No, that was a Ukraine.
Pasamonte is a Ukraine polymix, but that's also on my short list.
All you have to do is go CET for that one. You need a credit card that'll go to 6 digits, but
yeah, just like our scales.
I have my usual micro lined up. No 6 digits.
What Ukraine is from New Mexico?
Eurolite.
Eurolite. Wow, I have drawn a blank.
Give up?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. Kenna?
Yeah, I think there's about 4, maybe Eurolites from the U.S. total. That's one of the more well-known ones.
Wow, I've never even, I guess, heard of it. Okay. Hey, it's for my birth year. Cool.
48.
And
Not bad.
we have Ron with his hand up as well. Or Mike, were you done? No one
Yeah.
to cut you off. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I didn't want to cut you off. That would be cool.
Okay, I just got something real quick. So I've been talking about this Mars a bit. I got it the other day. I posted this online. I did an unboxing video.
So this isn't Kenya. This is from Kenya, though, right?
Yeah, it's going through classification at Vilnius University right now. So this is etched on both sides.
Oh, I like that side.
I'm going to try and darken the edge up with some ferric chloride, I think, this weekend. But it's a coarse octahedrite. But it's a beautiful stone.
Have you seen other slices of that with a more dominant etch?
Yes.
Okay.
If you look on eBay, actually these seem to be owned by two guys, both in Lithuania. I've seen a couple that have a real contrasting etch. They seem to be almost black and white, but I've only etched a couple of meteorites. I'm not real good at it yet, but I may try it on this one just to bring it out a little bit more. But yes, I have seen better etches.
Okay, because there are some meteorites that have a very predominant etch.
Yeah.
There are some meteorites that are so nominal of a pattern that I just don't want you to. I don't want anyone, not you, Ron. I don't want anyone trying to over etch a meteorite to get a result that you didn't. I shouldn't have you highlight.
Well, maybe I should send it out and have somebody do it for me.
Well, the key things, and I'm not an etching expert, but the keys are the prep work. You got to put the hour or the time in to get it smooth as possible. It's got to be, the prep work is done, polishing and getting it ready for, well, I don't know why you guys, there we go. Hopefully it shows me now. But yeah, so most of the work of acid etching is done pre getting the acid out, is the prep work, getting that done. Craig is real good at, so I'd ask him what he takes his down to, because I know what you're supposed to do is take it down to a real high and then rough it up a tiny bit so the surface can
okay, that's beyond my capability. Well, does he do it? Would he etch something if I send it to him?
Absolutely. Yeah, he does.
Okay.
In fact, I have this. Oh my God. Yeah, multiply my age by my grunt and grams. This box is going to him. And there's a lot of nice stuff in here that is going to be absolutely beautiful when he's done with it.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Yeah, my only warning was for people to know what to expect if you're trying to etch something, especially because acid is very acidic. It's very corrosive. I just don't want people to use too much, be exposed to the fumes too much, be unsafe with it, ruin a meteorite, or just trying to get an eventuality that's not going to happen. There are some meteorites that don't, like, if you can sit there and etch a chinga all day long, nothing's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, with the nitol, there's nitric acid and alcohol. There definitely are some significant safety issues. Ferric chloride is pretty tame as long as you keep aluminum away from it. We used to use ferric chloride for etching printed circuit boards in high school.
Yeah.
And to pimp out your friend, you took a little piece of aluminum foil and reached over his shoulder and dropped it into them. Because it'll make a little cloud of chlorine over the piece of aluminum. So you want to keep it away from the aluminum. But
it can be a little tricky too, because it'll darken up the next morning too if you don't post treat it right.
The first part would be making sure that the iron is properly prepped, and the next step would be the etching, which is an art. I'm not going to tell you how to do that because I don't know. But the third step would be neutralization and stabilization and preservation. So yeah, it's definitely a multi-step thing. There's prep, etch, and then neutralize and stabilize, if you will.
Well, so like I need to set it out.
And the etch too, you know, to photograph the etch, there's all sorts of tricks you can do with light, and the more light you can get, the better.
Yeah.
That one on your unboxing, whatever lighting you were using there, the etch showed really nicely on your unboxing video on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's just my lights here in the room.
Oh.
It's the angle of the light relative to
Yes, the angle. Yeah, if you bounce the light off of it, it's got a real nice etch, but it's maybe I'll just leave it alone. I don't know. But
well,
yeah,
take it out in sunlight and look at it. Careful.
Yeah, that's tomorrow's job. I'm going to be doing some, you know, take it outside, take some pictures of it.
And realistically,
I did do a high resolution scan of it. And it looks much better.
Send pictures to Craig as well. And
you have his.
Craig's Lyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hook Minnesota Meteorites. His name of his company. You can contact him on Facebook.
The MM Meteorite, is that him?
No, that's MH. I think.
Or Minnesota Meteorites.
Yeah, Minnesota Meteorites. Craig's Lyman. ZLIMEN. I definitely want to show my appreciation for everyone joining us live. We had a very active hangout today. The focus was space collecting, but this time not meteorites. Anything else that went into space, people, their experiences, their autographs, ephemera of all kind. I'm really glad. I think today was a great success, as always with the crew. You guys can grab yourself off mute and yell goodbye, because we're ending this puppy now, getting it on YouTube for all our European friends, and especially for Leon out in the UK. Leon, thanks for watching, buddy. Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, everybody. See you next
week. Good night, everyone. Thanks.
Good night, guys. Have a good week.
All right. Good night, Leon.